Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Schneider Electric Innovation Summit World Tour 2021. My name is Lauren Mahoney-Pick, and this is Mac Joshi, and we'll be your official hosts throughout today's global kickoff.
We have an amazing program lined up for you, and we're very excited to share our vision for the future and explore our industry's biggest trends, opportunities, and innovations.
So please take the next few minutes and settle in. Grab a snack or beverage if you need one, and get ready to learn how we prepare your business for the future today. We'll get started soon.
Hello again. For those of you who just joined us in the last few minutes, my name is Mac Joshi, and this is Lauren Mahoney-Pick. We're your hosts for Schneider Electric Innovation Summit World Tour. Our job today is to guide you through the global kickoff experience and help you make the most of our time together.
That's right, Mac. Today we expect people from more than 100 countries to join us, and we couldn't be more excited about what we have in store for you. You'll hear from Schneider Electric's chairman and CEO, Jean-Pascal Tricoire, as he shares his vision for a more sustainable future and how we all can act faster to adapt to new conditions and embrace the technology innovations and solutions that exist today.
Our Chief Marketing Officer, Chris Leong, will announce for the very first time some of Schneider Electric's most exciting new offers and innovations in our world premiere.
And after our keynote session, we'll roll straight into an important discussion about the power of a partnership for net zero future, featuring an all-star cast of industry leaders and moderated by Steve Sedgwick, a prominent tech journalist and the host of CNBC's popular program, Squawk Box Europe.
So you see, you'll get plenty of great information from us today, but we also want to hear from you. Please take the time to share your experiences on social media using hashtag Innovation Summit. Are you ready? Because it all starts here in 90 seconds.
world is full of people telling you who to believe they are. Well, we thought we'd tell you who we're not. Let's start here. We're not in shipping. We don't make lifts. Seriously, no lifts. We do this. We're good at this. And we make all of these. And even though you'll find us here and here, we don't make energy. We make you save it. And you'll be saving the environment too. Are we an internet company? Well, we connect and power just about everything around you, helping machines talk to each other and to you, making your world more personal. We're seeking out the big questions and answering them honestly. Like, how can we make the most of our energy and resources? Or can we make access to energy and digital basic human rights? We're real people, employees, developers, partners, investors, and inventors, all passionate about doing what's right. We're open. Humans of all sorts from all over, learning from each other and about each other. We're not here to save the world. It'll go on with or without us. We're here to be your digital partner for sustainability and efficiency, to ensure life is on everywhere, for everyone, at every moment.
Hello, and welcome to Schneider Electric Innovation Summit. It's always good to be with you, but first, I really hope you and your loved ones are all safe and well. When we spoke this time last year, our world was seeing the first ray of hope to move out of the crisis because the first of vaccines were getting approved and rolling out. Now, we are a year later. The world is different to back then, but we are still faced with many challenges, lockdowns, difficulties to travel, and we know disruption in every industry in the supply chain. And I want first to start by expressing thanks for your patience, trust, and partnership during these difficult times. I know that in many places we've been facing difficulties for deliveries, and I can tell you that we are completely mobilized, and our teams are working diligently to support you wherever you are and whatever your issues are. When we reflect on these past 18 months, our society has gone through a massive ordeal, but we've learned a lot. One of the most foundational learnings has been the focus on digitization. We all have improved a lot in the way we use digitization, the way we work together, the way we operate, and this includes everything from working remotely to using digital technology to do everything we used to do in person. As we return to more elements of our life and our work in person, we need to maintain these digital reflexes that made us much more efficient. And while the COVID pandemic is a devastation in many places of the world, and we have all collectively realized that if a virus could threaten our lifestyle, climate change could destroy it. We cannot lose sight of the biggest looming threat of our generation, for our generation, climate change. IPCC report has described climate change as a code red for humanity. This is an issue we, as a society, have created. But it is also a crisis that we, as society, and with technology, can resolve. And this is why we are talking together today. At Schneider Electric, our purpose is to empower all, to make the most of our energy and resources, and leverage technology to bridge progress and sustainability for all. Our mission is to be your digital partner for efficiency and sustainability, because efficiency is the base of sustainability. Some people are talking about the horizon of 2050. Some people speak about the horizon of 2040. We are convinced that the true horizon is 2030, because the phenomenon of carbon emissions and climate change has a long tail, and if we don't act now, we shall never meet the objectives of 2040 and 2050. Current pledges of all the companies and countries in the world will account for a reduction of 3 gigatons, which is not enough. And we see it in our daily life. climate disasters are happening at every moment and in every place of the world, and they have a significant cost and impact on our society. At a minimum, we don't have to reduce by 3 gigatons, we have to reduce by 10 gigatons by 2030 to meet the 1.5 degree trajectory. That means we need to go at least 3 times faster than the current plans. There is no doubt we face together a big challenge. But there is one silver lining in all of this. We have today the technologies and the means to solve it. We need to do this while ensuring that everyone on Earth has access to the basic rights of the reliable energy and an access to digital, as we know that these are passport to a decent life and to economic inclusion. The technologies that we need to be implementing 3 times faster need to be directed in 3 simple directions. Electrification, because it's the only way to decarbonize, decarbonization of electricity production, and efficiency. These 3 action areas have the potential to reduce emissions in line with what we need to do to transition our energy system and be back on a 1.5 degree trajectory. At Schneider, we've been on this sustainability journey for 15 years. And 2021 was a truly special year that recognized our impact as Corporate Knights awarded us the recognition of being the most sustainable corporation in the world. This award, along with many others we have received, is a testament to everyone, our employees, our partners, our customers, our investors, who have been on this journey with us. Sustainability is not just a part of our business. Sustainability is a core of our strategy. It exists in everything we do, what we do, and how we do it. We have both the technologies and the expertise to support our clients on their sustainability journey, no matter where they are starting from. We are committed to being part of the solution through helping our supply chain become more sustainable. In 2021, we established a zero carbon project where we will help our top 1,000 suppliers reduce by 50% their emissions by 2025. And the world has realized that the triptych of sustainability is intertwined. More sustainability is based on a world that's going to be more digital and more electric. And we realize together that those 3 elements, which are closely linked, have known an inflection on an acceleration point in the past 2 years. We want to bring this vision to life and make it real. I want to dig a bit deeper into what we consider are the big 4 integrations that we have been working on at Schneider, making sure that we supply you or provide you with a complete plug-and-play integrated solution with really a seamless integration. On the 4th dimension of integration that we want to see happening for a superior level of efficiency are the following. As you know, making sure, number 1, that energy and automation are closely integrated. Number 2, that everything is connected from every endpoint on the shop floor in the infrastructure to the cloud, so that everybody can see a digital twin of what is happening in the physical world. Number 3, allow or enable our customers to operate their all installations from design into building, into commissioning, into operation and maintenance through one digital thread on one consistent digital twin. And finally, accompany our customers so that they move from the traditional way of managing efficiency side by side, building by building, plant by plant, to the new way of managing company on the full scale of your company, thanks to integrated company management and thanks to unified operation centers. So all of that is waiting just around the corner. So let's go together and have a look. Let's first speak about the first integration, the one that brings together energy management and automation for more efficiency in energy and in process, therefore in consumption of resources. And I could go through the theory of the case, but I'd rather go straight to two examples that will show you the kind of efficiency you get when we bring together the combined management of energy and process. And let's start with industry, because industry is the ultimate place for efficiency. I'd like to bring you to the US and meet with Guardian Glass. Guardian Glass produces glass at a constant rate as a continuous ribbon at 700 tons per day. As any manufacturer in this industry, any downtime costs them significantly, and it's difficult to restart a process that has stopped. So reliability is critical. Actually, the whole production line is mission critical. Our recent work was related to a full EcoStruxure power solution, with a major benefit from the full suite of offers that integrate and work seamlessly together. And you know what? Rather than speaking myself of it, I invite you to listen to Mike Flesh. He's Senior Control Engineer at Guardian Glass, and he will explain us, much better than I can do, what Guardian Glass is doing. Take a look and listen to Mike.
EcoStruxure Power Monitoring Expert software allows me to monitor the power factor correction capacitors. It allows me to realize a 4% monthly credit from my power company utility. The credit alone justified the project and allowed it to have a 2-year payback. I don't really worry. We're doing everything we can to advance technology in glass because it plays a very important role in our living and working environments.
Our second example focuses on the future of buildings, which we believe will be sustainable, resilient, hyper-efficient, and people-centric. Earlier this year, in Grenoble, we opened the doors to Intensity, our latest flagship building, which is hosting our R&D. We've designed the site to be a world-leading example of energy-efficient building. It's energy and carbon neutral. It's more than 8 times more efficient than the average building in Europe. We've used, of course, our EcoStruxure for buildings that it brings together sustainability monitoring and building management systems. To share more on it, I'm delighted to be with Eddie Wood, the head of engineering at Bouygues Immobilier, our real estate partner who delivered Intensity. Eddie, thank you very much for participating today. Welcome. You've been leading the design and construction since the beginning. What can you say about how we achieved its level of efficiency?
Hi, Jean-Pascal. A number of key factors contribute to Intensity's energy efficiency. The initial brief outlined a totally new ambition for building and energy performance. It's a superb example of driving the potential of data integration throughout the life cycle in order to achieve an optimum result. From the outset, we relied on a robust energy-efficient design and a high-definition dynamic energy model comprising about 500,000 variables. This was provided by our energy manager via the digital twin and was used to predict the way the building was going to operate. This has allowed us to know how, why, and where energy was going to be used, and importantly, how it was going to be saved. We also used the energy model to ensure that the designers and the contractors complied with the brief and in order to commission the building. Once the building was fully commissioned and handed over, we entered into an energy monitoring and calibration period of both the virtual and the physical asset. When there is a discrepancy, we recalibrate, either virtually or physically, depending on the source of the discrepancy. We continue to use the energy model, stimulated by real-time building and weather data, to further optimize the performance of the building. Last but not least, digital technologies, in addition to driving energy performance, allow building occupants to actively contribute to the energy performance optimization.
So Eddie, thank you very much. Thank you for participating on giving that testimony to all of our customers. We are very proud of the environmental performance of the building. We thank you, your teams on Bouygues, for making that possible. Of course, with all of our sites, it's of course about efficiency and carbon neutrality, but it's about creating a better space for employees. And what we've seen is that these same digital technologies which make us more efficient, have helped create a flexible, adaptive, and collaborative space for them. So once again, thank you very much. The second integration is about connecting everything from the endpoint to the cloud. This is about connecting things together so that we bring a digital image of everything on the shop floor to the cloud so that we can all have the ability to monitor, control, predict any future issues, and it guarantees interoperability from all our systems from the shop floor to the cloud. With EcoStruxure automation expert, digital or industrial enterprises are going to a 100% engineering efficiency, and I'll try to express that later. They are making our industries ready for 100% effectiveness and really 100% future-proof because, again, there is no border between IT and OT, and software can operate directly on the data generated by the shop floor. So let's take a look at what we mean by 100% future-proof. And let me click on the demo that we have here. EcoStruxure Automation Expert makes it easy to add and modify equipment quickly, even from different vendors. In this example, for instance, the plant manager wants to integrate a new equipment within the plant, say a new machine. Let's click. The engineer just adds a software gateway from the ready-to-use library. The communication between the control application and the third-party machine, in this case not a Schneider machine, is now set up. That makes it really easy and cost-effective to orchestrate this new equipment and make sure that an automation system of Schneider can welcome any kind of equipment within the process. Now let's take another example. In this example, another thing that we've all run into, the plant operator gets a warning that the CPU is overstressed. In this case, and let's click, the engineer can simply redeploy the application to another device without changing a single line of the application code. Automation being software defined, the computing can be centralized or completely decentralized on all the objects you have on your automation line. It's your choice, but it allows you to distress the system in a considerable manner and make it more resilient. You see how easy it was to migrate your control application to a new hardware platform. This is what we mean now by 100% future-proof. That really is a game changer. Let's state it. It's a bold move, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Time to speak about the third integration. And it's probably the place where we have invested the most in the past year. It's all about digitizing the full life cycle of the places where Schneider operates. Industrial process, electrical installation, and building project from the construction time. So we've built for all of those three processes a complete digital thread from design into build, into commissioning, into operations, down to the maintenance. Within the life cycle, we now have the most comprehensive and integrated portfolio of software. We've done in 2020 a lot of new acquisitions in this field, and I'd like to introduce them to you. We've been connecting the dots to empower customers and partners to make better informed decisions to drive sustainability. Let's start by Etap, a company which is a worldwide leader, recognized leader in electrical calculation and simulation. It supports electrification and associated decarbonization scenario. With Etap, you can really modelize the whole of your electrical installation. Let's move on now to the other newcomer in the company, RIB Software. RIB is an incredible cloud-based platform, and it leads the digital transformation of the construction industry. It leads in 3D, which we know, but it goes into 4D, which is timing of the project, means scheduling of it, the 5D, the costing of the options you take, and 6D, the sustainability consequences of the decisions you make. And all of this, of course, is integrated into the BIM environment. Well, it's really important to understand the costing, to understand also the carbon quantity of all of those choices. And RIB will bring you the as-built circularity passport of your building at the end of a stage. We also, third investment, made an investment into Planon, which is a reference in smart buildings for facility managers and real estate managers. Once your building is connected, Planon will organize all optimization of the maintenance and of the usage of your building. It will aggregate not only life cycle energy performance and real estate portfolio scope, but it will offer also the trusted repository for circularity of any building and infrastructure. And finally, Osisoft. OSI has been a pioneer and has now been for many years a leader in real-time, contextualized and structured industrial data on which you can run algorithm on AI. This company has been acquired by our strategic partner Aviva, combining the unparalleled portfolio of application of Aviva from design to operation, together with the unparalleled data ingestion and structuration capability of Osisoft. This gives our industrial customers an incredible capacity to digitize their own installation. Our teams are now building our future offer, the one that covers the entire spectrum of building, power, and industry into one coordinated package to deliver on the full equation of efficiency and sustainability. We bring together the unique capabilities of each of these offers and companies to create outstanding benefits for our customers. By integrating these offers, we are able to bridge the gaps that exist between those universes. Take a very simple example. You modify your process, you have to modify your electrical supply. This is all coordinated with our software. And there again, I'd rather speak with examples. They speak better than the theory. An example in building is what Swire Properties, a leading property developer in Asia, owner and operators of mixed-use properties headquartered in Hong Kong, has been doing in engaging across the life cycle. The benefit started with integration of energy and automation by using EcoStruxure power portfolio and EcoStruxure building into one system. Now we are working on the build phase by leveraging M2 of RIB to digitize all the construction processes with the ambition of partnering on the operate maintain using IWMS from Planon. So all of it, EcoStruxure, RIB, and Planon supply a complete, continuous, and integrated approach across the customer's real estate lifecycle. Moving into another example into power, we can work our way across the start of the lifecycle. In the design phase, our customers use simulation using Etap as a software. They can size the electrical installation using the Apc module of our software, and then they can configure and quote their electrical distribution panel thanks to what we do through IGXAO. And as we commission everything, all of this is translated into the real-time world, into EcoStruxure power, breaking the traditional silo between the CapEx phase, the project phase, and the operation phase. Within the customer lifecycle, a key element is the power of the digital twin. Roubaix Sanin Chemical Industry Company has an ambition to be more environmentally friendly and to be at the same time an industry-leading smart factory. They have well understood that smart and green go together. So they have been leveraging EcoStruxure for oil and gas and petrochemicals, Aviva Asset Information Management software, and they allow universal access to engineering information generated during the construction phase and real-time data generated during the production and management to have a complete repository of their information, construction and operation into one digital twin to optimize production and operation. And with that, on running algorithm on that sum of data, they have seen a considerable improvement of their efficiency. Now, that brings us to our final integration, moving from the traditional way of doing side by side, plant by plant, building by building, to a completely integrated company management solution. We are now celebrating this year a full year of the successful merger with Larsen & Toubro electrical and automation business in India. And with this merger, we are on the right path to transform the future of electrical and automation industry in India and in many other countries around India. So let's move to India and let's look at what we have done by helping a company to go into integrated company management. And it has been a topic in India, which is a huge country, for many of our customers. So within India, our teams have been helping Uttarakhand, the second fastest growing state in India. This region of India has difficult terrain, requiring its people to travel long distances to pay for their utility bills. They need a way to bridge that gap between the government and the citizen. This new state data center is built to consolidate services, applications, and infrastructure to provide sustainable digital delivery of government services. This state asked us to use EcoStruxure for data center offers. Let's hear what Amit Kumar Sinha, the director of ITDA, has to say about this experience of integration.
It is the first state-run data center in the country with 100% software-based HCI technology. Asset Advisor provides us data insight for predictive analysis, triggers proactive alerts, and publishes recommendations based on historical data. With Schneider Electric solution, we aim to secure 100% uptime of e-governance portal. Through e-governance services, we seek to improve public service delivery to the citizens for an improved livability.
So you see that through the integration of all these offers, which connect all different systems and locations to help citizens, well, the state has offered improved livability to their citizens. So now we're going to leave India, which again has become a very large country for us. You can see that the four integrations are part of the answer towards our path to a greater efficiency, therefore greater sustainability, which is at the core of everything we are doing. Yet, our path to sustainability still needs more. And I'd like to add one more voice to the conversation. I've asked one of the leaders of our sustainability efforts, Susan Uttayakumar, to join me today. Susan, can you come here? Thank you for joining us. Susan, we recently announced the acceleration of our sustainability consulting business. What are you seeing in the marketplace that is behind our growth in this domain?
Well, Jean-Pascal, it's really great to see you. And what I see in the marketplace, that everything that sustainability is accelerating. So there's a greater demand in the Americas, in Europe, in Asia Pacific for services such as consulting in terms of sustainability, in terms of renewable procurement, and in terms of ESG reporting. And I'm definitely seeing that if a company is not seen to be doing measurable actions, there is repercussions from stakeholders and they really stand to impact their brand. And I'm also seeing that in this external environment, for players like Schneider who can deliver end-to-end solution, there's a greater need.
How can our expertise on consulting help our customers on their journey to sustainability?
Well, Jean-Pascal, I use the analogy of a doctor. So Schneider Electric is the doctor and the sustainability business division is the cure. So what we do is we work with our clients and customers to establish the baseline of their emissions. And once we know them, we set goals in terms of how they can decarbonize. So the prescription that we may offer is renewable energy procurement, energy efficiency by bringing in digitization, process optimization, and by doing this, we are their trusted advisor for sustainability.
But who precisely do you help with that prescription?
Okay, so we help enterprise customers, who have multi-site, multi-country operations. We help medium-sized customers, and really, we can help any of our clients in whichever stage of the journey they're in and whichever maturity they're in terms of sustainability. And there are great examples across the globe on what we have done, Jean-Pascal.
Yeah, and you take a completely agnostic view to the subject. When you speak to our customers about sustainability, it's without taking into account the rest of Schneider.
First of all, we are the trusted advisor, so we always start with the agnostic approach. But when it makes sense, when the client asks for it, we always bring in all of the end-to-end solutions that Schneider can bring, because really there's no one in the market that can do what we can do from an end-to-end standpoint.
So you are the doctor, but you bring along a lot of pharmacists.
Absolutely.
Right. On what advice would you tell our customers about their journey to sustainability? What would you advise them to do?
Well, I will tell them that sustainability is not a nice to have anymore. It's a must have. And your stakeholders are really expecting you to deliver on measurable action. So if you haven't started, it's time to accelerate. And we are here to be your trusted partner and to help you all along the way.
And it goes along with your efficiency, actually. When you are becoming more sustainable, you are also performing better.
Absolutely. So we start first with efficiency. So we remove any resources that you don't need to consume. And then we move to replace. So if you're using high carbon intensity power, we bring in renewables. And once that's done, we move to your value chain to work with your suppliers, because really you need to address scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 emissions.
So really help you to help your scope 3 on progress on the scope 3 on source the best source of energy, green and cheap.
I couldn't have said it better.
Okay, well, thank you. You convinced me. Thank you very much, Susan. So you see that if we want to meet our commitments and create a sustainable and inclusive future, we certainly have to do more. And we know that today we are not on the right trajectory. There are a few of the ways we are showing our commitment and expertise on this path to sustainability, and what we love to do is to help our customers to go on the same journey. So I hope you will join us. We hope to collaborate with you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Jean-Pascal, for that thought-provoking look at the future of energy management, automation, and sustainability.
Next, we're going to take a deeper look at exactly how Schneider Electric is working to make that future possible, with new offers and innovations that will accelerate your journey towards new levels of resiliency, sustainability, and digitization. In a couple minutes, Schneider Electric's Chief Marketing Officer, Chris Leong, will announce these offers for the very first time and talk about what they mean for you.
Before we get to that, we want to give you a closer look at Guardian Glass, one of the stories our CEO, Jean-Pascal Tricoire, highlighted a few minutes ago. We've documented their story, and we want to show it to you now.
So stay close. We'll be back with Chris Leong and our world premiere in 2 minutes. But first, take a look at how Guardian Glass is using EcoStruxure Power Solution to make their business more efficient.
Guardian Glass is one of the world's largest manufacturers of float and fabricated glass. People take glass for granted. If it weren't for glass, all of us would be cold. We would not be able to drive our cars. We produce glass at a constant rate, and that glass is a continuous ribbon, and we pull approximately 700 tons per day. Reliability means having the uptime 365 days, 24/7. Voltage sags will cause equipment downtime, reduce lifetime. If we have an unexpected shutdown, it would be costly to us for sure. EcoStruxure Power Monitoring Expert software allows me to monitor the power factor correction capacitors, as well as monitor the power coming into my plant. I can measure that from anywhere remotely to ensure all the systems are working properly in the plant. The previous capacitor banks that we had failed. Installing the Schneider Electric VARSET power factor correction capacitor banks allows me to realize a 4% monthly credit from my power company utility. The credit alone justified the project and allowed it to have a 2-year payback. I don't really worry. We're doing everything we can to advance technology in glass because it plays a very important role in our living and working environments.
As you know, at Schneider Electric, we are obsessed with innovation, bringing the best of digital solutions to the world of energy management and automation to achieve greater efficiency and sustainability. I'm excited to be here today to introduce you to some of our latest solutions. I'm standing inside our EcoStruxure Solution Lab, which is the perfect place to showcase our greatest and latest innovation. As Jean-Pascal just mentioned, our mission at Schneider Electric is to be your digital partner for sustainability and efficiency. Our obsession with innovation over 185 years ago has continued to be our guiding principle in delivering award-winning products. We invented selectivity and cascading over 30 years ago. We introduced the very first PLC created by Marty Kahn in 1968. And more recently, we launched SM AirSet, the world's first green, completely SF6-free range of switchgear powered by pure air. But we're just getting started. As you'll see today, we continue to introduce amazing innovation at every level across our immensely rich portfolio. Everything we do is focused on helping you, our customer, to address your needs and challenges. Whether it's using software and digital technology to make your operations more efficient and resilient, working to digitize and automate your control system, or helping you meet your ambitious sustainability goals. So let's take a closer look at how we're bringing that innovation to you, including 4 new offers that we're announcing for the first time here at Innovation Summit World Tour 2021. Let's start with efficiency. Efficiency has never been more important for buildings, industries, and infrastructure. We know it's a top priority for you, and we're leading the way, ensuring safe, efficient, reliable, connected, and sustainable solution for everyone, everywhere, at every moment. A few quick examples. In buildings, EcoStruxure Building Operations and Planon, our partner, are making buildings smarter, more efficient, transforming building management and turning data into value for buildings owners and users. Beyond building operations, we are partnering with world-leading independent software companies to build an unrivaled software portfolio across the entire building lifecycle. At the design phase, LP, Etap, IGE+XAO, and EcoStruxure Power Design offers unparalleled performance in electrical design and engineering and simulation. In the industrial and manufacturing space, Motor Management Architecture, which combines Altiva, TISIS, and expert advisors, are improving safety and performance and harnessing the power of automation to boost energy efficiency. And we're enabling customers to unlock the full power of your information by combining artificial intelligence, digital twin, and human insight with Aviva's end-to-end solution portfolio, now enriched with the PI System industrial data management. Speaking of innovative software, that leads us to our first big world premiere offer. It's my pleasure to turn the next 2 minutes over to Kai-Shi Zhang, who will introduce you to EcoStruxure Automation Expert, our new software-centric industrial automation system. Kai-Shi, over to you.
Thanks, Chris. I'm excited to show you EcoStruxure Automation Expert, the world's first universal automation solution. EcoStruxure Automation Expert is a new category of software-centric industrial automation. Since we launched it last year, our customers keep telling us it's a game changer. Why? Because it breaks the dependency between the software application and the hardware platform it runs on. It's an open, asset-centric, and software-defined automation system. Customers are experiencing a new level of agility and flexibility. It's quick and easy to design and implement systems that fully leverage the enormous computational power and connectivity that we have today, and to generate step change improvements in performance. And it takes just a few clicks to migrate an existing application to a new hardware platform. Our virtualized controller can run on any Windows or Linux edge computing device, from a Raspberry Pi to a powerful automation server. Over the past year, we have had great success helping customers solve their business problems across many industries: consumer packaged goods, logistics, infrastructure, just to name a few. With the new release, we will be able to provide water and wastewater treatment plants with this new innovative solution. And soon after that, we will begin working with desalination customers. With its ecosystem and the software portfolio from our strategic partner, AVEVA, EcoStruxure Automation Expert provides a complete solution along the full life cycle, from design and build to operate and maintain. You see, we have had decades of closed proprietary industrial automation, and the EcoStruxure Automation Expert changes all that. Chris, the IT world has realized the benefits of open operating platforms. Now, it's industry's turn.
So let's move on to another one of our top priorities, resiliency. Especially if you work in manufacturing or data centers, you simply can't afford downtime. But in the past, many organizations have felt like they have to choose between resiliency and sustainability. Well, at Schneider Electric, we reject that premise. And we're proving by building solutions that make your operations more resilient and more sustainable at the same time. To introduce you to our new Smart UPS Ultra 5 kVA uninterrupted power system, it's my pleasure to pass the ball to Helen Ding.
Thanks, Chris. The explosion in digital technology is driving the need for compute, network, and storage to be highly distributed and resilient. Worldwide, Schneider has sold more than 120 million APC uninterruptible power supplies. This makes us a leader in the single-phase UPS market, and as such, we take the responsibility of ensuring all of our UPSs are resilient without compromising sustainability. To drive this to the next level, and with the evolving needs of edge computing, we continue to innovate. Today, with what is the biggest breakthrough in single-phase UPS industry in decades, we introduce the Apc Smart Ups Ultra 5 kW. Using next-generation semiconductor technology, it is the lightest 5 kW UPS on the market. Measuring 2U in height, it provides 1.5 times more power while being 55% lighter than comparable solutions. The Apc Smart Ups Ultra delivers more power in less space, freeing up valuable IT space for edge applications. Lithium-ion technology means less time and OPEX on battery maintenance. EcoStruxure Ready gives you visibility anytime, anywhere via secure cloud monitoring, management, and services. The Apc Smart Ups Ultra reduces your space requirements and makes uninterruptible power smarter, more efficient, and more sustainable. With the recent introduction of the Smart Up Ultra 3 kW, which is now available in North America, the 5 kW extends the Smart Ups Ultra range, and it will be available in North America and Japan in early 2022 and other regions to follow. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Helen. Great job. We talk about efficiency, automation, and resiliency all the time because it is important high topic priorities. But our final area is perhaps the most important and urgent of all, sustainability. As Jean-Pascal talked about, sustainability is a global imperative for all of us, and we are honored that Schneider was recognized as the most sustainable company in the world. Many of the offers I highlighted earlier also have a strong sustainability story, and our final two offers really showcase that commitment. I'll turn it over to Stefan Lucas, who is coming from us from our Innovation Hub in Grenoble, France.
At Schneider Electric, we know the climate issue is an energy issue, and we need to address it. So, as the world's most sustainable company, we've created an energy innovation that will make a meaningful difference in this fight. Let me introduce RMR7, next generation of medium voltage switchgear. It empowers electric grids to combat climate change. Greenhouse gas is a thing of the past when we harvest the power of pure air, even in GIS technology. With RMR sets, you can forget about costly gas handling, recycling, recapturing, and disposal. Erase that expense from your budget. Pure air is better than that. And regulatory concerns? As governments around the world get serious about environmental policy, here is RMR set, an ally of Fit for 55 and other important policy goals. Next, RMR set remains firmly in the gas-insulated switchgear category, but its gas is now pure air. It retains all the benefits of traditional GIS, including a maintenance-free life and incredible ability to withstand harsh environments, and with a 25% longer lifespan than traditional GIS. RMR set is ready for a more renewable and digital future. It combines connectivity and intelligence. Its digital features let you take your operation and maintenance to a new level. And as a smart RMU, it will empower smart grid management. This innovation comes in an adoption-friendly format. How? A compact physical footprint with a complete range of functions and even the same operations. So your field crews are set. More flexible, it gives you the freedom to combine functions as you need them. Back over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Stefan. It's exciting to see how our high-performing medium voltage switchgear is using the world's most natural resource, pure air, to create an SF6-free future. And that leads us to our final world premiere offer today. Our CEO talked about how electrification plus digitization is the key to meeting emission targets. Well, today, perhaps the best example of that is the rapid adoption of electric vehicles. And at Schneider, we're helping to enable and accelerate that adoption with our new EcoStructure for e-mobility offerings. To show you more, I'm pleased to introduce Natalie, also coming to us from Grenoble. Natalie, over to you.
Thanks, Chris. EV adoption is putting pressure on buildings, since up to 40% more energy is required. Building owners need to think smarter to manage their building's electricity loads to accommodate this increased consumption. EcoStructure for e-mobility provides more than just EV charger. It is an end-to-end connected solution that is easy to install, that maintains building power reliability and provides a convenient experience for EV drivers. EcoStructure for e-mobility includes three main elements. EV-Link Pro AC, a reliable, sustainable, and smart charger for increased efficiency that is fast to install and easy to operate and maintain, minimizing costs and downtime. EcoStructure EV Charging Expert, a non-premise load management system that dynamically distributes real-time available power in the building to charge EVs, avoiding peak hours and integrating renewable energy. Via subscription, it also ensures access to advanced analytics services. And finally, EcoStructure EV Advisor, a cloud-based operation software that will enable our users to remotely supervise and easily commission, monitor, and control the EV charging infrastructure. With all the above, building owners and facility managers will be able to successfully meet the challenge of increased energy demand with energy management capabilities to secure an efficient, sustainable, and reliable power supply. And of course, EV driver will enjoy a friendly and cost-effective charging experience. EcoStructure for e-mobility helps commercial and industrial buildings on their path to a net zero future. We are now building this offer with new solutions, reaches more markets, and we will be excited to share those with you in early 2022. Visit the Digital Hub to know more. Thanks, and back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Natalie. And thank you again to all the presenters for showcasing our amazing world premiere offers today. We hope we have given you a flavor of how innovation aims to solve our customers' key challenges. Please take some time to visit our Innovation Hub in 3D to discover more. Thank you for your time today and enjoy the rest of Innovation Summit World Tour 2021.
Thank you, Chris. And thanks to everyone who helped showcase these exciting new solutions.
It's great to see how our vision for empowering everyone to make the most of our energy and resources is coming to life around the world in very real and tangible ways. And of course, we want you to explore all of these solutions in more detail and learn how they apply to you.
Yeah, and there are a few great ways to do that. First, stick around for the Cnbc panel that starts in just a couple minutes. In that segment, Steve Sedgwick, the co-anchor for CNBC's flagship program, Squawk Box Europe, will sit down with Schneider Electric CEO Jean-Pascal Tricoire for a candid discussion about the range and power of partnerships to accelerate our transition to a net zero world. Then Steve will continue and expand on that partnership discussion with executive leaders from some of the most successful companies in the world. That starts right here after we're done, so don't go anywhere.
Yes. Then, remember to check out our Innovation Hub in 3D virtual experience. As Chris mentioned, it's a great way to explore our solutions and offerings at your own pace.
And finally, make sure you attend your local innovation summit, coming to a screen near you. These regional events are packed with value. You'll have a chance to explore local trends and issues, connect with Schneider Electric experts in your part of the world, and get detailed information about the innovations and offers that are most relevant to you.
So bottom line, although our global keynote is coming to a close, there's much more to come. With that, we want to sincerely thank you all for participating in our global keynote kickoff. We hope you found it interesting and informative. Please stay connected and engaged with us on social media using #InnovationSummit. And we look forward to working with you to create a more efficient, resilient, and sustainable future. We'll be back in 2 minutes with Steve Sedgwick and Jean-Pascal Tricoire. While you're waiting, we want to share one more quick customer story that shows how Swire Properties in Hong Kong is working closely with Schneider as a strategic partner to transform its energy management systems. Take a look.
Swire Properties started our energy reduction journey over a decade ago and have always been at the forefront of understanding our energy usage and finding energy-saving opportunities. Throughout the years, finding new opportunities has become more difficult. Our business comprises 3 main elements: property investment, property trading, and hotel investment. We have formed a major strategic partnership with Schneider Electric in the digital transformation of our energy management systems. We felt EcoStruxure and Energy Advisor in particular was key to collect and analyze data from multiple site locations. Schneider has a very strong team in cybersecurity, combining IT and OT to give us peace of mind. An integrated cloud-based platform that connects energy management systems from multiple properties together enables us to intervene in a timely manner from a central location. With AI analytics, we can identify actionable insight, leading to further reduction in energy expenditure and improvement in the operational performance. To engage our tenants in living and working in a sustainable environment is very important. To be the top performer in sustainable development in our sector by 2030, we have invested in a low-carbon strategy. It is both in line with the Paris Agreements and the right thing to do.
Hello, I'm Steve Sedgwick and welcome to CNBC's Internet of Things Powering the Digital Economy debate. Our conversation today is all about the power of partnerships for a net zero future. A range of key talking points will be addressed, including how, despite seeing growing commitments from key carbon emitting nations and companies from across the world to reach net zero by 2050, few can achieve deep decarbonisation on their own. Collective action is required. We will explore the essential role which partnerships play when it comes to unlocking the potential of climate-friendly solutions. We'll discuss the success of partnerships up till now and which type are key for a more sustainable future. And crucially, where do we need to see greater cooperation if we are to succeed and meet our net zero goals? I'm going to be joined a little later on by a panel of leading industry figures to debate these topics. But first, I'm joined by the chairman and CEO of Schneider Electric, Jean-Pascal Tricoire, for a brief discussion that will set the scene for our debate. Jean-Pascal, absolutely fantastic to catch up with you yet again. It's 6 years now since you and I were at Le Bourget in Paris, and one of the key factors needed in order to get success in attaining the Paris goals is collaboration between governments and businesses, between businesses and businesses, the financial community, and indeed society at large. How would you judge the success of that collaboration in the last 6 years?
Look, if we look what the report of the IPCC has published, clearly the window of time is closing and we are nowhere where we should be. Our own estimation, and we speak about collaboration with other companies and institutions, on working on scenario like the Energy Transition Committee or within the UN Global Compact. And we see that we should be doing today 3 to 5 times more than what we are doing. It's about focusing on the things that can be done now, on realizing that the real timeline is not 2040, 2050, but 2030, because if we don't act in the next decade, it will be seriously too late.
And yet, if I may say so, Schneider Electric hasn't waited for other people to collaborate with. You've gone ahead. In fact, that's what's made the company one of the greenest on the planet by various measures. Are others moving ahead on their own fast enough, or are they just waiting for someone to show them the way?
Today, if you look at the top 2,000 companies, only 20% have taken objectives toward net zero or carbon neutrality. So we are really far away from having a global and complete mobilization. We are just at the beginning, but one thing that we should all realize when we speak about collaboration is that going towards carbon neutrality is a teamwork. So it's about collaborating between different stakeholders to make it possible. Take the example of Schneider, our company. 90% of the carbon footprint is with our suppliers. We just signed an agreement with our top strategic suppliers to help them reduce their carbon emission by 50% in the next coming 5 years. And what you're going to see is more and more coalitions, because if one company wants to progress, they have to take along a lot of other companies, suppliers and customers, upstream and downstream.
What are the limitations to collaboration? You have a company which has an awful lot of IP, has a lot of intellectual property which it's perhaps difficult to share with all kinds of people. So you can only go down a certain path before you do detriment to your business profile going forward by extensive collaboration. That's got to be a barrier somewhere down the line, hasn't it?
I think the biggest barrier you see today is thinking the old way. If you summarize, the problem is now well stated. We know that all of our companies will have to move. Technologies do exist. They just require to think differently and to approach the subject of constructions, projects, installations, and operations in a different manner. So what we need to do, and this is what we are actively doing, is collaborating together within the whole value chain on making sure that all of us rethink the way we design, the way we build, the way we operate to make it in a sustainable manner.
And yet, all kinds of areas of collaboration, climate change consultation, renewable energy procurement, ESG reporting, no problems there, sharing that with partners along the way.
The first thing that we do is to help our customers strategize and understand their impact on their problem. So it's about digital measurement of everything which is happening, and then you can formulate a strategy and deploy that strategy. So I just think that, by the way, it's very creative of value. I take the example of Schneider. It has been a massive generator of new things that we are not doing before. And I believe that many industries will be regenerated by this new approach of doing things.
How reliable are partners are governments? They've got so many issues they need to worry about. They've got electoral cycles. We saw in the US the pulling out of the COP and then coming back into it again as well. You've got to move ahead regardless of collaboration with governments, haven't we?
The collaboration with government is also crucial. Where government can help is really by setting standards which at minimum are not in the middle of the way, like for instance, subsidizing fossil fuels doesn't help. Putting the subsidies to low carbon energy or energy efficiency does help. And also working in a close manner with industry to understand, well, what are the new innovations and the technologies which are available on the market, putting together the right education programs so that people are able to design, build, operate in the right manner, and then make sure that a large part of every country infrastructure, which is a state-owned infrastructure, buildings, roads, cities, is leading the way by taking measures to become greener and smarter.
I just realised in all our conversations today about collaboration and about governments, we've been talking about developed nations and sophisticated companies and countries who are very sophisticated and a long way down the road like China. You and I both know one of the big problems at Le Bourget in COP21 was actually the developing nations. So what about us partnering more effectively with developing nations?
The first duty we have, we speak a lot about climate change, but the first duty we have is to make sure that the 1 billion of people who don't have access to energy on the planet, on the 2 billion, including the first 1 billion who don't have a reliable access to energy on the planet, do get it. And same thing for digital, because energy is your passport to a decent life, and digital your passport to economic inclusion on education. But this has to be integrated in the priorities of Glasgow.
You've gone a long way on your own journey as a person and as a company as well. You have become, as I say, one of the greenest companies on the planet as well. What's the most important thing you have to do in terms of collaborating with others to go to the next level?
Well, make sure that we position ourselves in the right level of the value chain so that we bring value to the other actors and we build on the value of other actors. So make sure that we don't redevelop what is existing, and make sure that we use our unique positioning so that we can provide solutions which are unique and easy to implement and fast to implement to our customers.
Sounds good to me. Jean-Pascal, lovely to speak to you as ever. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Steve.
Our panellists are just about to join me, but before I introduce today's guests, here's a short film to add some context and frame the debate.
As we count down to COP26, the stakes could not be higher. Politicians, CEOs and activists are gearing up to meet at the UN's Climate Summit in Glasgow, Scotland. There they will try to make new commitments to goals made under the 2015 Paris Agreement, recommitting to limiting global temperatures to 1.5 degrees Celsius to help avoid catastrophic consequences.
A lot of meaningful action is taking place. The problem is that it's 5 to 10 years later than it should have occurred, but it's still good news.
The journey towards carbon neutrality will be challenging and one that necessitates a simple solution. We must work together to help save our planet.
On the transition side, it's not going to be something that is solved overnight with the flip of a switch. Companies and countries need plans, and setting robust interim targets to check in on the progress of that. It's really about taking that action now.
Partnerships are growing across the globe. Governments and organisations are coming together to create innovative solutions that will help reduce CO2 emissions. Collaborations are also flourishing on an industry level across different sectors as multinationals, SMEs and startups work together towards the same goal. In April, the United Nations launched the Net Zero Banking Alliance, which brings together 55 financial institutions with combined assets of over $37 trillion to accelerate decarbonisation strategies through their lending and investment portfolios.
No one country, no one organisation can solve this themselves. We have to work in collaboration and partnership. So I think net zero is a really important target, but also importantly is financing the transition to a low carbon economy.
At the heart of the fight against climate change is renewable energy. Thanks to collaborations across the energy sector, switching from fossil fuels to wind power, solar and biofuels is becoming easier, while developed and developing countries are often working side by side to support each other in the creation and provision of clean energy. As climate change remains the most pressing economic and environmental change globally, how can private and public partnerships help us reach our net zero goals? Can we agree a best practice that will help us share expertise and technologies to innovate further and deliver a cleaner, more sustainable future? Welcome to CNBC's IoT, Powering the Digital Economy debate, as we focus on the power of partnerships for a net zero future.
Joining me is Sander Ojiambo, who is the CEO and Executive Director of the United Nations Global Compact. Thierry Delaporte is the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Wipro. And Lord Adair Turner, Chair of the Energy Transitions Commission and Senior Fellow at the Institute for New Economic Thinking. Thank you all for joining me. Sander, if I may start off with you. I was speaking to Christiana Figueres at COP21 and I said, how do you possibly get a deal of so many disparate parties, how many different interests are throwing their hat into the ring? How do you do it? She said, well, it's like herding cats. So, Sander, with that in mind, you have an enormous organisation, 13,000 companies plus, 160 countries represented. How do you herd those cats?
Right, thanks. And it's a great question. I mean, the thing is that to solve the crisis at hand, you do need a large number of companies. You do need momentum. I mean, you do need commitment. And so I fully agree. I mean, what we do need to do is point people towards a unified direction. And actually, the Sustainable Development Goals provide that perfect framework for development. But right now, I think the climate crisis is one thing that really unites us around a common issue and a common issue that we must bring together. I think what excites me most, above and beyond the membership of the Global Compact, is the clarity of the fact that to address the climate crisis, you do need partnership between government, between the private sector, civil society, and it really does have to be a multi-stakeholder, multilateral response. So as long as we are all facing in the right direction with the problem at the center, I think we've taken one step towards the progress that we need to make.
My concern is, though, there are so many enormous issues. You mentioned the Sustainable Development Goals. You have 10 principles, including human rights, labour, anti-corruption, and of course the environment is a huge part of that as well. How on earth do you get companies to prioritise one or other of these issues? I mean, one, for us now, we may say environment is the preeminent issue, but it must be very, very difficult to get the companies on some form of accord on this whole host of issues.
Well, we don't really ask for alignment across a whole host of issues. What we do say at the Global Compact is embrace the 10 principles as being fundamental for responsible business. But in terms of the Sustainable Development Goals, it's really a question of materiality. I mean, if you're sitting in an extractive industry, what is more material to you is suddenly very different from if you're in the banking industry or in the hospitality industry. So it then becomes a matter of materiality and where you need to prioritize and have the most impact. But if I go to the fundamentals, to our principles, we believe that embracing the principles that we have on human rights, labor, the environment, and anti-corruption just make for better business. And we're a business organization. So if we can give you the toolkit and the mindset to have a longer-term sustainable business, then we'll do that.
Indeed. And Lord Adair Turner, this is something which, of course, you've been looking at as well. Your latest report from the ETC as well is talking about the importance of urgency. Has there been a lack of urgency up till now? Because from 2015 Le Bourget to Glasgow 2021, some of the problems have been the lack of cohesion, the lack of collaboration in getting the financing forward. Where can we go next with this that actually is going to make a more meaningful and swift difference?
Well, I think the good news is that really over the last 2 years, there has been a positive ambition loop, as what some people call it, a self-reinforcing cycle between what governments are saying and what the private sector is saying. You've had private sector companies increasingly realizing that with the technologies available, they can commit to get to net zero emissions by mid-century. That giving governments confidence that they can set that target, and that making it non-negotiable for businesses to then come in line with that target. And if I think of, 3 years ago, almost none of the really tricky sectors of the economy, like shipping or aviation or steel, had made commitments to be net zero by 2050. But I can tell you the Global Concrete and Cement Association is going to set out a pathway to net zero by 2050. So is the Global Net Zero Steel Initiative. We saw IATA, the International Association of the Airlines, committing to net zero. That is all positive, and it's reflected in very strong government commitments as well. And I don't think it's just a greenwash. I think these really make a difference. But what we now need to do is take those commitments to get to net zero by 2050 and say, okay, if we're going to get there, we have to do things in the 2030s to be on the path to that. And we've got to actually reduce emissions by about 40% in the 2030s, as well as getting to net zero.
Lord Turner, what's got in the way of collaboration? What has got in the way of attaining those targets you meant about, how we've fallen short of those targets?
You need a collaboration between both governments and business. And it's a continual iterative process. It needs to involve both strong action by governments and strong action by the private sector, including by private sector finance, asset managers, banks, etc.
I'll come back to what strong actions means and the role of regulation in a short while, but let me get to Thierry Delaporte as well. Thierry, you launched your own Transform to Net Zero last year, but you are also a founding member of the Transform to Net Zero Coalition. Just explain to us how important it is to have a coalition moving forward together rather than companies such as Wipro doing it on their own.
I think it's exactly a reflection of the fact that, we were going to be committing to improvements over the years, but not necessarily putting the actions in place collectively. And the reality is that no single company can address the climate crisis alone. Adair said it, and I think it's very clear that, we've been talking about it, we've been working on different actions with this perspective to be neutral somewhere 10, 15 years away. And then year after years, we've seen the gap increasing. And the reality is that to really have a big impact and to really drive, real results to net zero, we need to standardize net zero approach to ensure the progress is made efficiently and effectively. It must be, substantially easier for companies of all size, all sectors across the globe to also move towards achieving a net zero future. So the connection with, other companies, the ecosystem, the communication and the cooperation with administrations in the respective countries is absolutely essential for us to drive, substantial results.
Thierry, are you sometimes confused by the amount of bodies and regulation and standards that people are putting forward? I mean, this is perhaps one of the big goals, perhaps, that COP26 can give us, that we have more standardized regulation, more standardized goals. I'll come back to Sandra on this in a few moments' time, but as a company, would that be useful if you had one or two sets of standards which you know you were working towards?
Well, that's exactly the point. The answer is yes, Steve. The reason for the creation of Transform to Net Zero Coalition was precisely to engage with policymakers and policies that are really needed to incentivize zero carbon investment and really stimulate greater action and more effective climate risk management across the world. A company like Wipro is operating in 65 countries around the world. And every time, we need to comply and adapt to, local situations. So the more alignment across the world is, the better it will be for us to drive effective results.
Sandra, let me bring you in on this as well, because the UNGC has got its own offering here, which is the Science-Based Targets Initiative as well. Tell me a little bit about it and why this is so important for collaboration and partnerships.
for us, the Science-Based Targets Initiative, or SBTI as we call it, is really, I think, testament of a remarkable partnership based on trust that really allows us to leverage the strengths of four organizations that have come together, the UN Global Compact, the CDP, the World Resources Institute, and WWF. I mean, for us, we founded in 2015, and to date, we have over 1,800 leading companies that have been setting emissions reduction targets in line with the latest climate science advanced by the SBTI. And, we did a progress report in the year 2020 that demonstrated that companies that do have science-based targets in place have reduced their combined emissions by 25% since 2015. And I think it's been really important to demonstrate that with science-based targets, progress has happened. For us, it's important to have a standard, and it's important to not only raise the ambition, but make sure that actions are grounded in science and we're able to track and measure that progress.
Adair, does that need to be backed up by strong regulation, though, if companies and countries do not attain those minimum standards?
I think there's a big role to be played by voluntarily made or encouraged private sector commitments. And those, in some cases, it's people sign up to science-based targets. Sometimes people sign up to EV100 or RE100. They'll only buy electric vehicles, or they'll only buy renewable energy. Those are powerful mechanisms, and they've been powerful frameworks for motivating action by businesses. But we can't just leave it to the private sector. You also need the public sector to come in, both encouraging that and behinding it, to create the enabling conditions. Let me give you an example. Let's take cement. The fact is that cement is one of those areas of the economy where decarbonizing is not going to be costless. There are some areas where new technology will enable us to decarbonize the economy at no economic cost. The point about cement is the very chemical process of producing cement produces CO2. Therefore, it's one of the technologies, one of the areas where we will definitely need carbon capture and storage, and it will add to the cost. And so here's the challenge for a cement company which wants to do the right thing and wants to head to net zero. Their cement, however hard they try, is going to be more expensive. So at some stage, you do need the public authority to come in either with a regulation, a public procurement requirement, which says we will only allow zero carbon cement, or a carbon tax. So yes, we can do a lot through private initiative, but it has to be supported by hard measures, by hard rules, by carbon prices and regulations. We must not fool ourselves that private sector action alone can get us there.
And Thierry, just on that point, you mentioned earlier you're in 60 plus countries as well, having 60 plus different parts of regulation, 60 plus different standards as well. Getting some form of uniform regulation would make life so much easier for companies to actually roll out better standards and better initiatives to get to net zero.
Absolutely, Steve. Absolutely. There's no question that, the way we are working with the ecosystem to drive actions, is critical. And I don't want to only focus on, local regulations. It is, I think we've said it, Adair and Sandra have talked about it. The entire ecosystem is also around, who we're working with, in the way our procurement teams choose lower carbon suppliers and products, in the way our finance department established low carbon, climate risk-based criteria for the deployment of capital, in the way marketing campaigns show consumers how to live net zero lives. Working with our partners to define new travel policies to reduce, emission. All those actions, if run independently, and in particular from one country to another, are not driving results. The necessity to constantly align with this ecosystem is is a reality. And so that's what we are doing. That's obviously what we are doing in the Transform to Net Zero coalition. It's really by working with the other partners in this coalition, we are really working along all these lines, trying to see how we can address and really get measurable targets and drive the results around, against these targets, not with a perspective of 10 years, but really more 2 to 3 years.
So with that in mind, Adair, come in on this.
Yeah, look, I wanted to come in on this thing about standardization of regulation, because I think we have to be, realistic. There's some areas where you're not going to get full regulation, right? So how buildings are designed, what are health and safety rules on building design? What are the rules on public procurement? I mean, those are going to be different in India and the US. There are some things, such as the built environment, which often have inherently local characteristics. But what we have to try to do is work out where we need an element of international coordination and get it in those areas. So in the international shipping and aviation areas, you need an element of standardization and a global approach. Somebody who is going to invest in a new container ship, which burns hydrogen, ammonia, not heavy fuel oil, is going to have to know that when they go to Singapore or Dubai or Rotterdam, there is a facility to take on board ammonia of a certain quality. And that sort of stuff requires some coordination. And the good news is that in aviation and shipping, we actually have international regulatory authorities, International Maritime Organization, ICAO, who can provide that regulation. We then have some other areas like steel, where if we have very different carbon prices in different parts of the world, we will have real problems about international competitiveness. One response to that is the European Union's idea of what's called a border carbon adjustment. But a better solution would be to get broadly similar carbon prices, not necessarily across the whole of the economy. We don't need it across the whole of the economy, but across those bits of the economy which are internationally traded. We're never going to have global regulation, but we got to pick off the things where there's a big benefit from some degree of global coordination.
And on the areas where we can get some form of global collaboration and cooperation at COP26, Sander, the point I was going to ask you, and I'll make the point again now, are the policymakers framing the debate correctly? Are they on one page? Do you believe that the debate globally is being framed in the right way, Sander?
I think what's clear is there's a crisis. Some lens of focus will go on to the mitigation piece and, the big role that big industry has to play and pushing forward on the 1.5 target. Other parts of the world are coming at this around what's the financing priority and what's really important there. Others are looking at the adaptation piece. So I don't think there's a unified angle to which this argument can really approach, because it really depends on what direction, governments and policymakers are coming at this at. So, and I think that's the very essence of the COP, is to really see how you can then, bring together the best of the positions for a solution that works best for mankind. But it is an evolving situation. I think the climate crisis plays out very differently in different parts of the world. But, underpinning most of it, I think for me, the three key issues: one is the urgency, the second is the financing that is required, and the third is really the multi-stakeholder and multilateral partnerships that are required. And so I don't know that there's necessarily a one-size-fits-all. The urgency and the science is there. The approaches, I think, is what needs to fit into this umbrella.
Let me pick up on one of those key points. We've discussed a little bit the urgency, but the financing is absolutely key. If ever there was an area where the collaboration was intended, but it didn't really happen to the degree that we needed it to, was on the $100 billion per year going from developed world to emerging as well. Financing is key. Adair, have you just come back on this, and then I'll get Thierry in on it as well. But you think the numbers are absolutely staggering that we need to find. This is going to need huge degrees of collaboration to find, what is it, $1.5 to $2 trillion per annum to make this transition successful, Adair?
I think the crucial thing on finance is to break it down into different categories, some of which are private, some of which are public, and some of which are private-public cooperation, right? So a lot of this finance, a lot of that 1.5 trillion will happen, done by the private sector, as long as the regulations and the carbon prices and the electricity market structures are there. At the other end, I think you have to realize that there are some things which are not finance in the sense of debt and equity finance. They are grants, they are subsidies, and there may have to be a flow of money from rich developed countries to help them do that. There are things which will cost poorer countries some money and richer countries will have to pay. So I think we have to break down the total investment need into a large bit which the private sector can do for itself, a relatively small bit which is fundamentally about income transfers and subsidies, but we better recognize where that's needed, and then a significant slice in the middle which is all about true cooperation between private and public sectors to deliver finance to the developing world at a lower cost of capital than it would otherwise be.
Thierry, your company spans developed, emerging, and has done so extraordinarily successful. But what about the profitability going forward, given everything that Sander and Adair have just mentioned as well? Is profitability going to be impacted? Are shareholders going to have to accept lower profits given this vast amount of money that needs to be used to finance this transfer? And also, are shareholders just going to have to use to the fact that they are now going to be stakeholders rather than just shareholders that they have been?
There is no doubt that there is a need to invest into transforming the way we are working. It goes beyond the question of financing itself. If I look at the corporate world, my conviction is that if, as leaders of this organization, we are not addressing this issue and playing our own role, we will lose the market. And so it will have a cost as well for the shareholders. Our companies will just no longer exist. I'm convinced at the speed the world is changing today, I'm convinced that the company who doesn't understand the role he has to play to drive rapid, significant results will be a company that talent will no longer want to join in some years from now, and that will have a massive cost. And so at the end of the day, there's no question about, are we ready to finance it? There's no other option than, going through this transition seriously, right? Not achieving net zero by 2050 is quite simply not an option. So we have to drive it. The cost of not investing in it now will be much bigger for the company and for its brand.
Thank you, Thierry. I'm at pains to note that we've talked a lot about companies to companies, the old B2B. We've talked about shareholders and investors. We've also talked about governments and regulators, but we haven't, of course, talked about the collaboration needed with our own employees of companies as well, with society as a whole, with the consumers as well. So those are very important collaborations that need to be noted as well. But I've got one final round of questions for you all. Where do we really need to make the most ground? Sander, let me start off with you. Where is the greatest challenge in getting further meaningful collaboration so that we can actually make the transition to net zero?
My view would be getting the financing, the right type of financing at the right mix and for the right priorities on the table. I think commitments are great, but we won't be able to move forward with it unless you get the right mix of financing for action.
And for you, Adair, as well, in terms of the biggest challenge for collaboration going forward from you?
I think it is actually things to do with the agriculture, food and land use area. I'm an optimist that we will drive the decarbonisation of the whole of the energy, building, industry and transport sector. Where I think I am not confident is that we know how to stop the destruction of our great tropical rainforests and other loss of biodiversity. I'm not confident that we know how to solve those problems while also dealing with the livelihoods of the people who depend on that for economic livelihood. I think that's where we need a lot of international cooperation and a lot of international finance, because the technology isn't just going to come to our rescue in the same way that it will, a bit late, but eventually will come to our rescue in the electricity system and the transport system.
And Thierry, you are on your path as well to net zero over at Wipro. The greatest challenge for business, acting in a collaborative way.
I would say two more things, along the lines of our discussion today. I would say, we must be pragmatic. And being pragmatic means, not going into complex political controversies, but really focus on, areas where we can have an impact now, leveraging the ecosystem and working with all the different components. And the second thing is, drive results now. Don't look at 2040, just look at 2021 and 2022, and then 2023 maybe. But just be real about, actions and improvements now, and just focus on those actions.
So just to summarize, I think there's a lot of hope. I think there's a lot of need for urgency, and from Thierry at the end there as well. Don't just think about the distant goals on the horizon. Think about the smaller steps in the very short term. Absolutely important in order that we can grow collaboration, grow partnerships, especially in this pivotal time ahead of COP26. I want to thank our panelists today, Sander Ojiambo, who is the CEO and Executive Director of the United Nations Global Compact, Thierry Delaporte, who is the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Wipro, and of course Lord Adair Turner, Chair of the Energy Transitions Commission and Senior Fellow at the Institute for New Economic Thinking. Thank you very much again for all your insights and what I believe has been an extraordinary look into the power of partnerships for a net zero future.